All right, hey folks, we're going to continue doing some artwork for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement we've been creating for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Give me a second here for me to kick through my signal here, make sure everything's coming through okay, and then we'll get to work here for a few hours. So let's see, I'm going to do a mic check here real quick. If you're coming at us from the future and you've heard and you've heard the intro before, you can skip ahead a minute. And you've heard the intro before. It sounds like I'm coming through a-okay there. For folks that are new to the channel, or if you are here live and direct with me right now, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past 5-ish years. There's a slew of content, different books that I've created previously that are linked in the description down below. You can check all that stuff out if you're, let's see, where are we at? I am clicking through on links right now, so let me say the books that are down there, they have extensive free previews. If you are an art enthusiast, there's probably about 150 different illustrations you can check out amongst the books that are linked down below, or you can do a search by my name and as artist on DMsGuild.com, and there's about 100 different books that have my stock art in them so far. So big thanks to the community for support in that. And let's see, clicking through here, and there we are. Okay, cool. So links are all done. Let's see. I've just posted that I am live on Twitter. So you can catch me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. To see notifications of when I go live, as well as the occasional sketch and article content. I just posted to the Reddit community. So mad shout out to our Spelljammer for being so supportive of the concepts that we're creating here in the Spelljammer book. I'm looking forward to letting you guys know how it's coming along as it comes along. Best way to support the channel overall is like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. We have picked up a slew of people over the holidays, so God bless everybody for taking an interest in what it is that we're doing here. So what is it we're doing here? Spelljammer's Adventures in Space came out, was published at 5th edition in August 2022. It's a reimagining of the original Spelljammer setting that was released, I think, back in 1989. And the common complaint for the Spelljammer box set is that it is kind of thin on rules. And as I say, you need rules so that a DM can make rulings. So there needs to be enough crunch and meat on the bone for us to be able to pull our own flavor of a campaign out of that meat, for us to be able to just run a campaign well. So a lot of what this book contains is basic physics about how to adventure, how to engage with things, how visibility works, how movement, time scaling, how you can conduct point or hex crawls inside of environments, how you can track orbital movement of things, how you can use information as a mode of speed in astral travel between worlds. And so as we go through these concepts, we play test them, they go well. We then hire an editor to help wordsmith the ideas into cohesive statements. And then once that's all done, we break it down. We drop it here into Photoshop. You can see here little spaces in the document that are open for us to put images into, to integrate into the document. So as we complete a page, we can then extract that as a PDF that we then drop here into Photoshop, that we then start illustrating on. And again, once complete, we'll extract that and we can pull those images forward into the document to make, a whole page. So here you go, a whole page. So do this 100 and some odd time, do this 106 times, and we have a finished document. So that's what we're in the process of doing. We got we're down to a handful of illustrations that we need to do. It's looking like late January 2024 is very viable for us to have this released. This book cover we created here, we're currently at episode 286. We made this cover back around episode 15, so you can jump into the Wayback Machine here to the full playlist and see the creation of of that particular piece of art if you want, along with everything else that we've done, all the maps, all the tokens, all the page illustrations, as well as a lot of the mechanics and development of the book to make it work as a cohesive alternate mechanical system for Spelljammer and 5th edition that can be exported into various other D20 themed games, which I am looking forward to expanding on in the future. So hey, I've also there's my Twitter community. Here's a Patreon. If you want to see look-sees and early looks at stuff, playtest content like the martial power stuff that we've been doing, you can jump into the Patreon and get access to that stuff. I have a Discord community now too, where we can go and sharpen our knives and talk smack about campaigns and build towards our future. But for today, we are going to we finished the line art for this piece yesterday. So let's just start diving into the color of stuff. I don't see any color, so you have the fun time of figuring out how that stuff works with me. So yeah, I don't have any. There's a link to, if you want to see it. There's a link to monochromatism down here that talks about the effect of not having any cones in your eye and what kind of impact that has on visibility. For anyone that would, if you care. But if you don't, you'll at least understand why it is I'm pulling color samples off of illustrations like this. It's because I can't actually see the color myself to guess what colors should actually be in the illustration. So I can certainly work with contrast, and when you don't have any color vision, contrast is all you get. So you have to kind of build out the way that you do art based around the tools that you have available to you. And I can assure you, a one-arm man is going to sculpt differently than two arms. So it's just you just develop your skill set around your capabilities, what you can do. So shout out to Larry, my friend back in Arizona, for inspiring me to have the courage to figure out a way to paint in color. Because in my 20s, I was lamenting as the market became more globalized that the only way I would be able to possibly continue to compete against foreign market artists is to get into color space and get good at character art. And so he challenged me to get good at color art. God bless you, Larry, for just point blank challenging me with something that was impossible to achieve, so that I could start getting on the path of realizing that I should be achieving things that are impossible. So there's that. So yeah, we'll build out. I'm just throwing in color language here. I like to have things blend into the base of the frame. Sometimes I'll do a hard frame illustration. Sometimes I'll do a blend frame by just grabbing the color samples off of, well, as you can see here, the base frame. The border art that we have going around here, I can play with its presence in the actual piece. The blend, where does the border actually begin and end? It's a little artsy-fartsy thing I like to do just because I think I'm clever. Time will tell. But yeah, I like to. This is how I like to do. And it naturally gets lighter as you move up the page, so I should be able to use that somewhat to my advantage. I'm figuring out right now how do I want lighting to work, because I know that we're going to use the lighting from this space galleon here with this blueness to it. I'm going to use that as my general color for this ship as well, and go with this. I just like the color. The contrast that I see here with the white sails, presumably white sails, and I know this is blue because I've scanned it before over here on my RGB. I know it's at least vaguely blue against a vaguely blue sky. But the token that I use has a purpley top deck, which is a bit different, but there's many different colors that you can use for ships. So those are the ones I chose for the token, but the actual illustration that we're working on right now is in contrast to that. I think there's more space galleons. I think I've illustrated space galleon more than any other type of ship in this book, to be quite frank. But I think I've used star moths as the most prevalent token throughout the book. I'm not positive about that, but I am aware. I'm aware of my ratios. Let's just say that, and I don't mind. A lot of the illustrations that are in this book at all are hints and indications of things that happen in Light of Xeraxis. So, because of the maps that we build and the combat, the battle scenes that we have for, let's make that a loose smokiness. I can blend effect in through here. It should be really fun to have some separation in here like that. Sorry, I'm just kind of riffing here for a second. Give me a moment to blend this in, and then we'll have like some stars splashing into this atmospheric effect we got going on. I think this is going to end well. I'm already liking how the lighting is playing and fading in through this area. So I think this is going to be a really cool picture when we're done with it. It shouldn't require too much heavy lifting. The structure, the architecture here, I think we did a pretty damn good setup with. Should be able to help breathe the rest of the document into being relatively little difficulty. What was I talking about? I know I was chasing this for a reason. I'm getting a real Empire Strikes Back, Cloud City sort of vibe going on here, which I think Jeremy Crawford would approve of. I love Flash Gordon. There's a lot of reference towards a Flash Gordon sort of inspiration vibe to the Spelljammer setting, but I love Flash Gordon. That was the first movie that I chose to see in the movie theater when I was 5. It was the first birthday movie I ever chose for myself. And it has been a tradition that I've kept my entire life of when it's my birthday, go see a movie. It's I love that tradition. And especially because my birthday's in May, and May is generally a good movie season. Like that's when the summer movies start to really kick off. So I'm right in the meat of it. There. We don't have any unnecessary separation. So yeah, we'll spend a little time here. So my objective is, of course, my objective is to actually get the flats taken care of for the ships. But for me to know exactly how I want the colors to sit on the vehicles is going to be dictated by the background. The background creates the frame for each individual asset. Like I need to have this lighter sky here because arrows are dark ships and their small little form needs to pop out against the general frame of the ship that they're strafing. So I'm spending some time, well, I'm spending time on the sky because I love the meditative feeling of creating clouds and landscapes in general, and I wanted to turn off my brain for a little bit to fall into sync with the illustration more swiftly. The faster I can turn off my brain, the more clearly I can hear the muse tell me what, where to move next, or if I can really disengage and disassociate from my own body, I can just let her pilot, and we'll see what she creates with this, what she's inspired to do. Because the muse don't have bodies; they have to direct their inspiration through mortal forms, as the Greeks describe. Hey, what's up? Hey, Karen. Dude, I had a great Christmas. It was fucking fantastic. Lots of firewood. My gal bought a Omaha steak meal, like with taters and steaks and like chocolate souffle, and we roasted up some carrots and asparagus to go with it. So we had just a top-notch grilled steak dinner, and she's a hell of a griller. So I'm very blessed to have her in my life, not only for the food stuff, but that she just wants to have time with me. We both have very, very, very busy lives, and we compartmentalize reality very well. That's when we're working, we're working. When we're together, we're together, and there's a lot of separation between the two. So it was a blessed weekend. I have a fireplace in my home. It's like 5 feet away, so we burned Yule logs and colored sparkle fire sets, and watched about 20 minutes of Rebel Moon, the new Zack Snyder movie that came out on Netflix before we. God, what a shit film! That is such a basic, low writing quality film. It's utter garbage. It just, we saw that it's called Part 1, and we just immediately laughed. I have yet to see a sci-fi movie that audaciously declares itself Part 1, that goes anywhere, that ever makes any fucking money. Like, you have to be super humble about your sci-fi film if you want to expect to get another fucking sci-fi film with the same IP. And George Lucas was such a genius. His first movie was Part 4, which made parts just utterly worthless. It's like, it's not Part 1. There's obviously no defined ending to how many parts this thing has. It's like you're calling it Part 4 just to fucking call it Part 4. It meant nothing. And that's such tongue-in-cheek genius from George Lucas. I really give him hats off on that. But yes, the Christmas was fantastic. We don't have a lot of family here in Seattle, so it's mostly just us, and it was truly blessed time, very, very blessed time. So I hope it was great for you too. Yeah, hey, right on. I had homemade, I feel like I'm missing a word. Homemade pizza. Oh, man, that's fantastic. There, that should be good spacing. Here. There were so many people eating pizza. Like, on the Discord channels where I haunt, there were so many conversations about what kind of pizzas are being made. One of the traditions in my household growing up, for my side of the family, was to watch movies that are just completely not appropriate for Christmas, like Dangerous Liaisons, Asmodeus, Steel Justice. God, what was some other things? City of Lost Children, which is a French film, a French independent film from the mid-90s. Just not Christmassy. like denying that Christmas exists. It's so great. Pizza feels the same way to me. Like, it's like such an off-brand food, but it's classic. So mad props. I want to get this atmosphere smoky effect kind of boxing in the shape without really overwhelming it. Here, I'm trying to do a fade in here. I'm on vacation right now. My a gift I give to myself each year is to take, for my day job, take the week off between Christmas and New Year so that I can be a full-time artist for a little while. In May for my birthday and at end of year as my holiday. So twice a year, about 6-7 months apart. About half a year apart, 5 to 7. Yeah. Do art. So I'll be on today, probably for another 2 hours or so. And then I'll be back, and then I'll jump off. Actually, I'll probably log. Yeah, I'll be on for 2 hours. I'll log out at 9. I'll do 3 hours of home care and off-screen production stuff, setting up other things and hammering through other tasks. But then come back around like 5 hours from now will be noon here in Seattle. Like noon till 3, I'll log on and spend a few hours building out martial powers because we're working through the Ravnica backgrounds to make them compliant with the martial power system. And I suspect I can spend the entire 3 hours, given my history of geeking out on stuff and running on tangents while I do design work. I reckon I'll be able to process. I might be able to get through the 8 remaining guilds that I haven't completed yet, but there's a decent chance that I shan't complete the project. But I'll come back and do more at lunch on Friday. Yeah, and I'll be back on for about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours tomorrow morning to continue doing this illustration here. And I'm actually still doing detail work on the harpoon on the weapon decks that we're doing. Here, I'll show you where we're at right now with that other piece that we were doing last week. Which one are we in right now? This is 41. Okay, so I want page 32. This was the illustration that we were working on last week. The downside is it rained all day. I love the rain personally. And we don't, in Seattle, we typically don't get rain until late January. We don't get snow until late January anyway. Okay, so here we are. I'm currently working on detailing to the weapons here. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I need to get texture and lighting on the mast framing. I'm happy with the receding darkness here at the prow. I need to clean up the line a little bit here and then just drop in wood texture and it'll essentially be done. It's not the greatest illustration in the book, but I've got some real natural 20s that are scattered throughout here. So having some, well, I wouldn't call this a natural one, but I certainly wouldn't call it the highlight of the book, but it gets the point across. So it helps translate what these machines are. I think it does a good job doing the visuals to it. So once I finish the texturing, I can wash my hands of it. And I've been spending a little time every day just working in just cleaning up the line work for it so that I can then drop in the texture and then get the wood texture differently. Like it's there. It just needs a little bit of polishing, and I don't know how much polishing I'm going to need for me to not sneer at it when I look at it. So it's never going to be my favorite painting, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to throw it away either. It's time invested, and it's expressing the information that I intended. So, but that's coming along. So I'll finish that off screen, and I've been working on the page layouts for Light as Araxis. Here, I'll show you guys that real quick. I currently have it in a separate document, separated from the rest of the piece, but it's currently a there you go. It's currently a 30 what? You're not 30 out of 100. Why are you being like that? I need to get here. There we go. It's currently a 30-page document. We're breaking down the information pretty well. The main thing that we have to worry about is structuring how vehicles and weapons work inside the system that we have. So we have light stat blocks that are fairly simple to be able to operate with. We'll have we're going to have the icon for the ship, and then the icons for the weapons in use, and then over here is the is the relevant stat block for what like what Captain Sartell contributes to the ship during combat using the system that we have. So you can see here, like for example, default action, Sartell will order characters to command ballistae during combat, assuming a support role from the bridge through the orrery station using the target and help reload actions as needed, which will eat up both her action and her reaction economy. That leaves her bonus action open in the support role for whatever it is that the DM or the players decide that they want Sartell to do, while Flapjack being the initial pilot. The way that it's set up is that while the characters, the book itself sets it up as you escape the planet aboard the ship, Flapjack, the flump pilot, teaches your characters how spelljamming works. And given how Spelljammer AIS is written, like the original system is, Flapjack has to hand off attunement of the helm to the character, and the character is then piloting the boat when the ship is attacked by star elves. Spoiler alerts. And so the characters have attunement to the seat. They're the ones that conduct the combat as the pilot. But the way that we have it is multiple characters can share that attunement and control of the pilot, one piece of action economy at a time. So Flump doesn't have shit for hit points, so can't take much shock of damage if the ship is hit. So having a character at the helm and helping Flump during combat makes a lot of sense. So Flump can play a support role using the focus helm to help your characters overcome any kind of system shock from damage to the ship, as well as using the help action to help focus to get advantage on attacks, and the target action to help siege crews. So he can soak damage, or rather not take any damage for the ship, let the characters take damage if they choose, but also to let the characters have their constitution tested instead of Flapjack's, because Flapjack is not built for combat. So Flapjack is happy to step aside and let someone else take over combat, but give guidance during combat and to lend its action economy to help make sure your character is successful. And then you just have the rest of the passengers and crew. So the and then we can filter in so we have the harpoon flinger image here, which we have. Oh, I closed the document already, but we had the little icon here for the harpoon flinger, and we have our ballista icon, and then we have the token for the ship. There's space here to put Flapjack's icon token. There's space here for Sartell's token, and then for male refugee, female refugee, crew member, Travis, and Travis's goons. There's enough space down here for those 5 additional icons that flesh out who the passengers and crew are down here. And then as we drop down here to the Dark Star, we can do the same ship icon here, showing where the ship ram is on the ship. The prow of the Star Moth is a slashing ram. Then we put the ballista icon here, mangonel icon here, harpoon icon here, Eldritch Cannon icon here, and then we float down to the next page. Captain as token here, Altura's token here, the Lieutenant's token here, and then the crew Plasmoid Explorers tokens are here. And then here we can have increasing the challenge, scaling combat. I can drop in a 10x10 map here to place the ship token that the galleon you're on, versus Star Maw is the relative size and distance of them. And then we have if the characters succeed, if the characters are defeated, text block for moving on to the next section, and then we move into the Neogi Raider combat. So I'm still fleshing this one out right now, but this is where we've gotten to. I need to drop in the map for the asteroid cluster encounter, and I'm now starting to reorganize the Spiderling combat information. So it takes up about a page worth of text between the Spiderling ships, the Spiderling Squadron, the Eben Snare Death Spider mothership that commands the Spiderling Squadron, and all the crew that goes with it. I think I can trim this down to maybe a page and a half instead of being basically well, it's 1.5 columns here and another full page here. So there's a lot of inefficient language that in subsequent versions, like up here, that we were able to straighten up the action economy to, what do these guys do? Like, it breaks down to a much smaller space at this point. Instead of being the initial paragraph or two of text about how these lieutenants operate, we're able to trim down just as their simple action economy, using the conducting the encounter to dictate what their behaviors are going to be. And then here are the individual tactics of each NPC role that they're playing on the ship. So well, I'll tell you this, it ain't fucking easy. So I've been happy. Did I do anything of value here? No, I did not. So I can do this, and I can not save changes. There you go. So when that's complete, that's going to be the back. That's going to be the back, probably 25 pages of this 106-page document. It's 80 pages of tech, and then the back 25 pages is translating all of these mechanics into how would you use it in Light of Xeraxis as a showcase of how these mechanics work, using the very adventure that Wizards created to showcase how Spelljammer is supposed to work. So it's kind of a riff off of a riff. Anyway, but it should provide you with enough tools and understanding to be able to start breaking down action economy and using these things in live fire scenarios with a lot of safety valves built into the plot line so that you can see how this stuff plays out. So anyway, that's one of the ideas. So, snow? Yeah. Oh, that's right. I got family in Tennessee. Yep. Yeah, snow's beautiful. You guys have had a really warm season, right? Tennessee's gorgeous. Muggy as hell in the summer, but it is very, very pretty. I've never visited Georgia. No, I've visited Atlanta, but that's very metro. I didn't leave the metro area. That was 30. That was about 30 years ago. So I don't think it's really relevant to any conversation at this point. Other than to say, I've never had any relevant experience in Georgia to say. I think I can push this cloud up a bit like that. But yeah, I got through about 2 pages yesterday, and there's only 26 pages in the Light of Xeraxis document. So I'm anticipating getting through another 2 pages today, which will take me to page 10 out of 26. So I'm having a really good clip. Most of my downtime currently is spent around translating and simplifying the Xeraxis appendix. And once that's all resolved, all the image assets and stuff that are in it are either very simple setup maps or stacking up tokens as the relevant characters that are in this particular act or whatever. So there's not actually much artwork that I need to include in Appendix 2 at all, which is relieving, to say the least. But it really makes me proud of how much work we put into the front end of this, making sure all the maps and tokens were built out so that we have those visual assets available here at the back end when we need things to be expedient. So that was a very successful project management on my part. I am very, very proud of that. I'm not happy about how long everything takes, but that is a separate complaint from the actual overall project. One would argue that if it didn't take so long, I wouldn't have an opportunity to bump into so many cool people before the thing came out. So I am appreciating where the process is at right now, recognizing that it can evolve into a lot more in the future. January, March, yeah, right on. Yep. Funny how the opposite corners of the nation we have the same sort of expectations for snow. There's such a difference in longitude. Latitude is the word I'm looking for towards the equator. Longitude is like orange slices around the globe. Different. I mean, the longitude, I guess, makes a difference. I guess. Did I? What the fuck? Wow, Photoshop just fucking crashed. I'd like to complain to my manager. Wow. Well, God bless you for recovering so thoroughly. Jesus fucking Christ. It's happened twice now in this month. That was super uncool. Yeah. Wow. Well, A, thank God for backup. But at the same time, that should never fucking happen. Holy Hannah! Wow. That is insane. Yeah, okay, I'm now like officially super nervous about my computer being glitchy on me. I mean, glitch once, it's weird. Glitch twice, and there's potentially a fucking problem. OBS wants me to update again, and I know that there's conflicts in using on my graphics card between OBS and Photoshop in general, which is super sad panda, but maybe between Adobe and OBS there's a fix that I just don't know about. It's not happening in 93. Right on. That's a long break between big snows. I grew up in Missouri, and we had the great thing about Missouri is, as they say, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. that's one of the phrases in Missouri. That's actually my favorite one. Or if you don't, or like if you, we never leave Missouri because you don't leave Missouri for weather, because all you have to do is just wait, and it'll come to you. Yeah, I've been through 98% humidity with 110 degrees Fahrenheit for those that keep track of that stuff. Like during the summer, and I think the coldest summer. Hold on. The coldest winter I endured was negative 30, with about 2 feet of snow on the ground. So there's like Missouri has like a ridiculously wide range. It just catches everything. Whatever weirdness is going on, you'll find in Missouri. That's for sure. So I was blessed to have an incredibly wide range of different type of weather to endure growing up, and I appreciate the like how much the like the Pacific Northwest has the same amount of green that Missouri does. I grew up near Ozarks, so there was a shitload of swamp and forest land. Lots of glorious. It was gorgeous. And so the Pacific Northwest has the same degree of greenness to it, but all the weather in the Pacific Northwest is like 20% less radical than what I would expect in Missouri, and the trees are evergreen instead of deciduous. So otherwise, it has a very similar vibe. Like Missouri, like Eastern Missouri, is a lot of rolling hills and rough land, and with the amount of water coming off of the Mississippi Basin, like that whole region gets flooded upstream with the Mississippi River and the Missouri River being major water sources throughout the state. On the western side of it, it's saturated a lot. So we get all sorts of different types of weather, and like we've had, I remember back in, I think it was '92, when the Mississippi River flooded and it was just washing out homes. There was tons of volunteers for sandbagging along the river to keep storefront property from getting flooded and ruined, and it was crazy. I didn't participate in any of that because I don't see good. And so me stumbling around with sandbags is generally a bad idea. But it was it was wild times. It's fun. Anyway, the point is Missouri is a really fun state to grow up in because it has constant thunderstorms and shitloads of rain. Lots of snow when it wants it. Blistering hot summers when it wants it. Lots of tornadoes when it wants them. A lot of variety. I feel like I want to smudge in this like that. Sorry, I just got pushed, so I'm fleshing out the bits that are pushing me. I don't need to get this perfect, but I do want to make sure I'm getting the color language. I want to make sure I like the transitions, so I know how the masts and the ship color are going to play with the background. This is why I'm investing this much time on the background specifically right now, because it'll make it like these masts, like if I have this faded blue up here, I'm going to need to have more shadow on these higher sails than I do down here midship. So I need to make those decisions about how the contrast is going to work with the background to make sure I have this thing pop the right way. So I need to have the ship stand out from the background and have these fighter ships that are strafing these sails. I need to make sure they're standing out in comparison as well. So it's that same like dark light dark dichotomy that contrast set up in the illustration. So I got to make sure I get my scaffolding right, like to get the steps correct between the lighting transitions from the background to foreground to further foreground elements. Smudge that in. Let's move to a larger brush. That'll push some pixels a little bit more. like how that's sitting in general. Save in case of crash. Thank you. I like this this brightness poking out from the ahead of the prow. I just think that blends well. I just think it just feels right. Just diffuse that with a softer smudge. Just to work that in at this point. I think it's the best thing to do. I like the lighting on this. I think this is pretty cool. Push up the strength of that brush so I can smudge this stuff in to fill the space a little bit better. Using a natural fade of the page to diffuse the border. This is called a vignette, when you don't know where like the actual edge of the illustration just kind of bleeds out into the environment around it. Like it doesn't have defined edges. Down here it kind of has defined edges by the border of the page, but the art itself isn't defined by that edge. So it's an interesting blend of vignette and border, and it's part of the it's been an exploration on a number of the different pieces that we've done. Unironically, the more successfully we can blend these things in together, the more I fall in love with the piece, which I think is one of the reasons why I'm not jazzing so hard on the mounted weapon illustration that we had earlier. That we were working on last week, is because it's such a hard cut by the border. It doesn't, like, I found a little spot to blend it in the sky in the background in that illustration, but for the most part, it doesn't blend into the environment directly, so it's not as fun of a. It's just not compositionally as strong as I'd want it to be, or I really just imagine it to be a very simple illustration, but it just kind of made sense to flesh it out a little bit more to actually be like present in an actual illustration. And I don't think that was my original intention for it, so I think that's why I'm not just excited about that one. But it is what it is. And I can't blame it for wanting to be more than what it was originally slotted for. We're all like that. We all want to be more. So who am I to judge or cut it down? We're going to have the same things that the rest of us have. Up, keep my beach clean. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. Just gotta say, I love how that blends. That it just feels right. Love that. And once I dot in the extra stars as a sort of backlight, that should help really blend. Like where does the actual border of the frame start and the vignette of and the border of the painting begin? That is one of the things I like the most about this, is being able to successfully blend these things into each other, so they just like it just kind of just seeps into the page, right? Anyway, I won't geek out about my own surrealistic symbolism inside of my artwork. That's not for me to dictate. Because no one likes to listen to an artist talk about how smart they think their work is. Of course they do. It's a pretentious prick. There we go. All right, so that is I think that's a good sky base. We can now start to, we'll call this background appropriately enough. And now we can, let's just go with the most basic of back. Just look at our coloring here. Actually, how does that sit? Yeah, let's sit there as our base blue. I know we're just doing initial blocking just to make sure that the form, its base is contrasting well with the rest of the illustration. And we'll be able to work in specific lighting into the shape once the shape itself is properly defined from the environment. This is cell blocking, which is a common comic book procedure. Nothing particularly exotic about it. Just has to be done properly. It's good prep work. Hey, what's up? Hey, Nitro, what's going on, my guy? This year we had steak. We had Omaha steaks. We had a meal we purchased and had it delivered, and we cooked on the grill. We had steak, cooked taters, asparagus, roasted carrots, a light salad, chocolate souffle, and also an almost endless array of summer sausage and exotic cheeses, and lots of edible weed. Pro tip for those at home: you can take shake, marijuana shake, and mix it in with your coffee grounds. And when you brew a cup of coffee, you get high as fuck. I also like to mix shake in with oregano, Parmesan, and garlic powder on pizzas. And that also gets me lit. But hey, that's Washington State for you, right? Bunch of hippies. Let's get that curve going in there. How about you? Yeah, it was good times. Me and my gal. A nice warm fire, and an endless array of programming to fall asleep to on the couch. It was a weekend of splendor. We were both off the clock at about dinner time on Saturday and didn't log back into life until Monday night when reality was calling in the morning for us to perform tasks. So it was great. It was a really, really great time spent. Thank you for caring. That's blocking it in. So to stick with tradition of not watching, shows or movies that are very much not Christmassy in nature, we binged on the 7th season of Billions. And that show's fared well. I don't know if it's actually completed or not. We're still playing catch up on it on Paramount. Paramount Plus, man, it delivers a number of good shows. It's pretty good stuff. It had 1923. It had 1893. It has Billions. Also has I think it has Tulsa King, and Yeah, and it was doing Yellowstone. Was that all on the same channel, or was some of that Peacock? Some of that may have been on Peacock. I get Peacock and Paramount confused, but I know at least half of those are on Paramount and are good. Also a fan of What If, the new the Disney multiverse cartoons. That's I've never had a problem with multiverse removing consequences. For example, it's just I think it's a non-issue. You're either telling good stories or you're not. And multiverse shit allows you to have like an endless mix. I can take these two things and toss these in the trash. Flush. I feel like I should stitch these up. Let's make a copy. Merge that down. Conceal. I may end up regretting that, but for now, it doesn't matter. I can just go with lines until I blend these down into color. I think I'm missing text on the side. Hold on, guys. I'll get with you in a sec. There. Get the color inside the galleon space. What's up? Die Hard. Cheers to that. Yeah, Die Hard is a killer. Yeah, and is your friendly Albert Squid Mike swimming away? Yes, I think it is. Sorry, where are we back? Yes, we're back. I don't know how it drifts away like that. It's just, the boom arm has a mind of its own. It's a 30-inch monitor that I have here. It's hard for me to disable camera stuff and all that stuff to show you things, but here's my camera. Wait, here's my camera here. It sits on a wooden frame, and it's about this far away from the edge of my monitor, which is here. There's the actual edge of the monitor that lines up with the edge of my Photoshop window here. So when I'm looking down at text, I'm in real time looking like right next to the camera here, and that's the closest I can get to my text, so I can tilt up my camera. If I tilt up the screen, I can read the bottom text, but it kicks a reflection off of my ceiling light that I use to backlight me so that I can minimize the amount of scorbledness that happens from the background that I have. Yeah, Die Hard's a great movie. Again, why was I thinking about this? That's why. Let's grab my guitar pick. It's better fitted for architectural work. It's a smoother smudging tool, but it doesn't diffuse well. It pushes pixels really well, but it doesn't do like I couldn't do this this cloud work. I couldn't do this fluffy cloud work with this guitar pick of a tool, but it's really good about edging. Surround eraser is the most adaptable. I can always change the size of the circle if I need to hit at a different angle or stay inside of a space. Circles are the most like hitting a box corner might be difficult with a circle, but if you get that circle down to 1 pixel, I mean, that becomes a square. So at some point, circles are squares. This doesn't have to be high detail precision work right now. I think I'm just futzing with it to make sure I understand the space a little bit better. I have to just fuck around with my stuff a little bit just so I can sense its space and like how does the ink sit, like how's the color sitting on the space, like how furrowed are edges, and just become a little bit more familiar with the project that I'm basically for the tasks I'm creating for myself. So that feels pretty decent. Let me get these. Once we blend the line art with the color, a lot of this framing is going to get smudged down into perspective and have some atmospheric disturbance to reduce its overall presence. But for now, it needs to be blocked like everything else. So I'm just trying to make sure I've got everything sitting pretty inside of its frames. Eye leaking. Why is the human's eye leaking? Good. That's good enough anyway. Drop another one in here. Bloop bloop like that. Here to here, here, to here, and then fill that in. I know this is more gray than this this blue, but only no. Apparently it's not. Huh. Cool. Well, this will turn out well then. Don't have to worry about there. Vaguely could be relevant here, so we'll add it. Boop. From here to here. There we go. Easy peasy. essentially all the structure we need. Now I want to fill in this. There we go. Get the sails in. Just going to fill that in with a base color, and that will help us better understand how we need to contrast the sky against these sails. Even though we're going to have highlights, in fact, that we will have highlights on these sails should be even stronger evidence of the contrast that we need behind them. Yeah. Pronoun fits there, behind them. Maybe I need to turn off my background here for a minute so I can see where these things are at. There we go. Why do you feel locked up to me? Thank you. For now, the sketchy line art is fine. Once I start locking down the actual sails, the line art will get smudged into the folds. Pardon the pun, but will be literally folded into the sails. So looks like I'm picking up a bit of a sniffle. We'll see if that plays out into something significant over the next few days or not. There's that. That's nice. There's that. What's out of here? Where are we at on time, huh? 7:45. We still have an hour or so to go. And then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back later on today, and we'll continue working on translating the Ravnica backgrounds into the martial power paradigm. So if you're playing a Rakdos Barbarian, instead of having a bunch of spells you can't use, you can opt into instead have a kit of different martial powers that will be default to the Rakdos Black-Red Guild. That'll be fun. For example, we have two of them done already. We finished Azorius and Boros. Next we'll do Demir and then Gruul and Izzat. And we'll just work through all 10 of them. We'll have up to 3 hours. If I can endure, we'll have a 3-hour block at lunch today from 12 till 3 Seattle time, which is approximately 4.5 hours from now. So we'll do that for a few hours and then we'll log out. And then I'll spend the rest of my day off screen, like doing Lazarax's stuff and cleanup and whatever. And then we'll be back on tomorrow. We'll do Spelljammer. We'll continue this illustration tomorrow morning. And let's see. And then we'll probably do more martial powers at lunch on Thursday as well. And then Thursday night, like usual, we'll do Eberron art, and then Friday morning we'll be back on here like usual. And don't know what we're gonna do for Friday lunch. Might be more power stuff. Might be, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it open. We'll just see. We'll see where the winds blow and where we get taken. Hmm? Why do you do as that? Okay, well, you're apparently wanting to lock up again, so let's shut that down and reopen it before weird shit happens and hope that graphics card is going to play along this time. Thank you. Not happy with what's going on with this performance. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey there, French fry. Looks like I'm making a tactical mistake by being on my wrong layer. All right. There. Back on point. Yeah, Die Hard is a really great Christmas movie. And this, of course, will lead off to a string to somewhere eventually once we lock that all down. But for now, we're just making sure we're filling the space properly. The shapes. There. Now when we drop the sky back in, you can see that we need more cowbell. Hold on, I got a thing going on here. Let's see. Let's push this out. Ba, 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 ba. I want to diffuse some of this color back here more to have some contrast in here, some light contrast, because these sails are going to get a lot more highlight on them. So this feels fairly good contrasty here. That boat might be a little bit too close. I'm going to grab the arrows here, cut those out there, and grab my galleon here. Oops. There's also seriously, what is going on? There, and there. Let's take this whole thing and scooch it down a little bit away from the text. I didn't like how close it was skimming to the text up here, the amount of color I was having to push up into that space. So I just decided moving the whole boat would just be easier. That feels good. I can be there. Do. I got a text and I gotta deal with here real quick. I think that fits pretty nicely. I think that should be okay. And darkening it up a little bit more is going to help. And smooth. Yeah, I think that fits pretty nicely. Blend that in a little bit more. Nice. Do. Feels pretty good. I was wanting to protect this this highlight behind the boat earlier, and it kind of got lost in the pixel, you know, in the slurry of it. What's the word I'm trying to use there? There, that feels better. There. Okay, that feels pretty good. Let's see. The next place is for us to Galleon. Good for the moment. Actually, I probably want to get a highlight going on down here. Afford to push this up a bit for a little bit more contrast. If my computer would keep working, I do not know. Thank you. I do not know what's going on with this guy, but he is glitching a lot more than I would anticipate. Not happy about whatever the hell that is going on. Let's do like that, roughly. That feels pretty good. Yeah, this is going to turn out a-okay. I'm pretty happy. Galleon's fine for now. Back. Well, sitting pretty over here. Check, check, check. Okay, cool. So I can afford to toss this into the trash. 1, 2, 3. That's perfect. So the arrows are all lined up. We got line here. And we got color here. Let's go with your basic. I want to do mecha so fucking bad with this. I have to get this finished before I start talking about mecha, so that the conversation can be relevant. But oh god, I want to make Gundam. I gotta fix my pillow. My cushions are falling off my chair. I've been lumping around a bit too much. There we go. Back into it. You know, we'll just do a basic outline initially to block in the color, and then we can distinguish details. We don't have to get crazy because the size of these things is pretty fucking small. So a little should go a long way. We'll see. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot more contrast. Help make sure these stand out the way they need to. So these things, they have these, they're blades, right? So they have these sharpened edges that they can actually do slashing attacks. It's like slashing melee attacks as like move, strafe along the side of an object, deal damage to that object like you're cutting through the hole, and then zip away. And then they have the harpoon flingers there on as a front weapon system that they can shoot at anybody that tries to slow them down. But you need to have there needs to be a mechanical, like a game mechanic system robust enough to be able to accommodate the mechanics of having fighter ships that are engaging with the vessel. It's a lot of the trick to doing that was figuring out how to scale from 5 feet to 50 feet to 500 foot to 1 mile, as far as like increasing targeting and damaging and damaging objects with these different scales, and how they can properly interact with each other without making one more imbalanced to have on the field with others, like fighter craft and characters and vessels scaling from 5 feet to 500 feet in size is a substantial difference in the amount of damage that they can take and deal individually per unit. And so we have to keep those ideas in mind as we were developing. Hey, burp, burp. Hold on. Let me get this going again. And then I got some stuff that's going on here on the side I need to tend to. So far, relatively good. All right, let's get back into it. Go. All right, so that's our basic configuration, which means that I'm probably going to need to make the hull on the space galleon a lighter color in general. I'm gonna take a second here to save. Take a sip. So what if we just make this blue our base? And then we can just add shadow to distinguish the edges away from the vessel. Like yonder. There. That is good contrast, and then we can fade like this darker green bit we got going on. Is that green or is it just gray? Yeah, this darker gray can recede. That's a lot of blue we got kicking there. Let's see. Warranted. Yeah. Okay, so let's, what we can do is we can drop that a bit. Yeah. Okay, so that's a really good fit. That actually has pretty good contrast at this point. Let's see, the blue here is more so than the gray. The blue back here. Blue here, so we're flying in the gray skies. I'm okay with flying in the gray. It feels more storm-like back there. How about back here? Also diffused into grayness. More pop of blue in the back. I'm good with that. Let's fold stuff up here real quick so that we can sit back and assess it a little bit better onto its own with all its stacks. You can drop the reference image out. So when we have this completed, this will be our page A. I fucking love that. I think that's sitting nicely on the page overall. I like how the masks are poking into the space. I think it's filling the area and it's conforming with the contours of the text well. So I think this is decent composition overall. This is as far as I expected to get today. And let me see, where are we at? It's 8:30, almost, well, it's 8:20. Okay, so we're ahead of schedule. So let's see. Bonus footage right now would be us working on the arrow craft. If we can finish the individual lighting, coloration, and highlights of the 9 arrow craft we have on page in the next 40 minutes, that'll be a significant victory, because that means that we would have tomorrow morning and Friday to complete just the galleon and to spot in some stars. So we're looking at a really good clip on this piece. I am honestly very proud of how quickly we're kicking through this document. I'm going to actually come up into here and pull some of this gray. Further forward. save this. I'm going to restart it. Something feels a little sluggish. Yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. We're doing good. Yeah, that was acting sluggish. I was right. There and there. Cool. Feels pretty good. It might be too diffused at this point. We'll see if we can maybe carve some. Nah, I think it's okay. It should be fine. It should be fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Let's keep building. So let's pull our references back in, and let's do highlight and shadow. Pull that forward a little bit more to get more contrast in. Wow, just the glitches continue. Yeah, so like right now we're just working in the highlights and the shadows here on the base frame, and that in. Then we'll get the blade next, the sharpened edge of the boat next. And then we'll take care of the harpoon flinger and then the pilot, and then it should be resolved. Hold on real quick. Let's keep this going. Keep my microphone in close. I think it's sliding away again. I'm going to finish up here. I think I'm going to finish this base highlight and then be done. I'm feeling some. Well, I won't burden you with what it is I feel, but there's some internal activity happening here in my world that's going to require some attention. So I think I have enough time here just to finish up this base highlighting, and then and then I'm going to have to go do some unspeakable acts. We'll be back. We'll be back in a few hours to continue on with the next endeavor. So hold on, let me finish this up, and then we'll bounce. Yeah, this is going to turn out A-okay. Oof. This should be using actually the arrow smudge tool, not the my pick, not my cloud brush. This is a really good example of that. See how choppy all that smudge work is, but now it's getting a lot cleaner. Switch over to the right tool. Still something I'm learning. much, see how choppy that is? Like how grainy and marbled it is. It's because it's not a good smudge brush for smooth texturing. While this guitar pick is excellent at it. So again, really marbled, choppy effects. I was using the wrong brush. So let's go back through and just smooth this all in. Make it feel more natural. Because materials dictate texture. There, much smoother. There we go. Good fix. We'll come back and we'll do work on all of these more. These are fun. Fun little zippy things. This in. We're almost done. Almost done for the day. That's right, Timely Timer. I'll go ahead and turn that off because we're not going to have another one. As soon as I finish up this underlighting for these two ships, that'll be it for the session. And we'll come back later on today and we'll work on martial powers, the backgrounds for Ravnica, and then, God, I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of work doing the playtest, but it's going to be worth it. There. There you go. All right, cool. So that is our base color for our fighter craft. When we come back tomorrow morning, where are we at right now? It's 7:35. Fine. We've been at it for a couple hours. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up for now. When we come back in, we can start doing the light detail. We'll do the initial coloration for the galleon. And then once we have that in, we'll be able to do detail work on the fighter craft and then the detail work on the galleon behind it. I suspect this is going to be done on Friday. We've got another 6 hours to do probably 5 hours worth of work. So if we're efficient with our time, no problem. I might end up picking at this on Saturday a little bit as part of our Saturday stream, not sure. But hey, that's it for now. I'm going to be back in approximately 3.5 hours for our Martial Powers Wednesday lunch. We'll be developing the Ravnica backgrounds to conform with the to mesh with the Martial Power system that we developed with the alternate magic system, to replace spellcasting with channeling powers for martial characters. That'll be So that'll be in about 3.5 hours-ish, around noon, Seattle time. We'll do that for 3 hours, and then we'll be back tomorrow morning to continue working on this. We'll be probably back doing martial powers at lunch tomorrow as well, and then Thursday night we'll be on working with continuing the tokens for Eberron. Yeah, so like, subscribe, hit the bell icon if this stuff is cool to you. We've got our Discord channel up. You're welcome to drop in, say hey. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. I've got a Patreon where a lot of early look-sees and playtest content's available. So I'll see folks online, and I'll be back in a few hours. So hopefully see you guys then too. Thanks a lot.